I've seen 87 dead bodies in my life. 87 men, women, and children deceased. Now, in perspective, this could mean many things. For a quote-unquote normal person, this would be a lot in one lifetime. For a homicide detective, this could be a drop in a bucket. I belong to the latter. I'm a homicide detective in a small county in southeast Michigan. Lake Hill, the county seat, has a population of about 59,000 people. In most metropolitan cities like New York and Los Angeles, seeing and handling 87 dead bodies would be something of a joke to them, as they have hundreds, if not thousands of cases throughout every year of their careers. And I'm counting these 87 dead bodies from the day I was a fresh-faced rookie, not assigned to actual homicides. Some of these were vehicle accidents, overdoses, and even the accidental autoerotic death. Every homicide detective has one of those cases that really disturbs them. Out of all the messed up shit they've seen, there's one that they just can't shake, no matter how much help they get from Jack Daniels. This is the one that stays with me. Fortunately, this isn't one of those stories where I was taunted by the killer and never caught them. I don't have one of those. Even though I worked in a small county, I was able to connect all the yarn on my homicides. I suppose that's why I kept the position for over 25 years. This also isn't one of those stories where it turned out I was the killer the whole time. The murder was done by a cop, though, one I knew well, one I've spoken with since for many years. This is the story of the Creepy Corner Killer. I had to write this one down for whomever wanted to hear the whole story. I don't have much time to write the whole thing out, and I have limited resources to write. It'll be dark soon. Every town or city, I'm sure, has a weird or creepy spot. Just something unsettling about it. Maybe it elicits urban legends from town kids, passed down from generation to generation. Maybe it is some kind of dark spot in town where the streetlights never worked, giving that Halloween feel all year. Our town, Lake Hill, had Creepy Corner. I felt it on the first days on the job. As a young patrolman, I made it a priority to know every street of the city I served and protected. I started as a city cop. Lake Hill Police, badge number 2776. My new bride always joked my badge number was 1,000 years after the birth of our nation. I always liked that. As it stands now, I have moved to the Sheriff Department as the Lieutenant of Detective Bureau. I truly started from the street level, moving up the ranks accordingly in my 30-plus years in law enforcement. It's not like the movies where it may seem you start as a homicide detective. There's many years doing routine, mostly boring police work. Traffic stops, tickets, the occasional domestic violence, and breaking up fights after 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. But when the call goes out, 9901 potential homicide, there aren't many people qualified in a small town or county to handle it. Creepy Corners where the most gruesome homicide I have ever witnessed occurred. As a patrolman, I drove my car there countless times. I suppose what made it most unsettling was that the sidewalk just ended. It didn't seem like there was a reason, as it picked back up 50 yards down the street. The street, Malvern Street, hit an intense curve going south towards the lake. The sidewalk feels like it couldn't physically follow the street, and that's why it stopped. The street is lined with seemingly normal-looking houses. Nothing out of the ordinary. I even looked up the meaning of Malvern. All I found is that it's a town somewhere in England. Then I saw it. A tent. Have you ever seen something so out of place it kind of destroys your reality and slaps you in the face at the same time? I think that's fate. God or something supernatural keying you into the fact that something isn't right and you need to notice this thing right the hell now. My first thought was, now this isn't a good idea. No way, even in a small town, especially in a small town, would I let my children camp out overnight. It was a small children's tent, not one of those decent 5+ camping tents. I hoped I just read too much into it. Life went on, put bad guys into jail, and lived my normal life out of uniform as well. Then the brutal killing of twin 6-year-olds made national news. I pored over that case. At this time, I was testing for detective. I was being mentored by... I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now, but the head rock star of the detective bureau of the time. He was in charge of this case. It was strange to see him on court TV at the time, as well as dozens of local and national news outlets. I didn't realize how much of this job would be media relations, and how to develop a calm tone. Make everyone feel like it'll be okay and we'll get our man. Even while two innocent, white as snow twin children had their throats ripped out and were laid out in the crucifix position, in their tent. It was a cold night when the double murder occurred, just as cold as it is right now as I'm writing this, surrounded in cold steel and unforgiving watchmen. In the years since, I've handled my homicide cases. As far as the murder business goes, mine have been somewhat routine. I visit my former mentor regularly. Like all detectives, I first want to secure a confession that leads to a conviction. But then, more on the human side, I'd like to know why. What drives someone to kill? And then above that, what drives someone to brutally murder two innocent children? For no apparent reason at that. He has never given me an answer. He stares at me, unmoving every morning as I see him. The steel sink and toilet bolted to the ground, the mirror just above. I visit the creepy corner regularly now. In all 4 seasons, I get the same feeling. There's something dark here. It draws you in. It's the abyss. It's like seeing shade cast by a cloud, showered in a small space when the rest of the world is lit up by the sun. I may have spent too much time there. I asked the former disgraced detective how he got turned into a monster. Again, no answer. He knew 2200 was coming. All he cared about was surviving one more night. The answer wouldn't come tonight. It might never come.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you? La 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 la.